What came first? The hopeless romanticism or high fidelity? People worry about kids watching John Wick and gory horror movies, but nobody is worried about kids watching dozens and dozens of romantic comedies. You know, things as perfect as High Fidelity, with just cool, kick-ass characters and, you know, just love pouring out of them. And it all just sounds fucking great. Just, even the bad parts, they're fucking great. And nobody thinks, you know, that love is so attainable in all of these films. And when you're 17 and, you know, you just want a girlfriend or a boyfriend, whatever you want, it looks so easy. But in real life, for the majority of us, it's just painful and complicated and, you know, stupid and just hard. Did I watch High Fidelity because I yearned for love so much? Or did I yearn for love so much because I watched High Fidelity? Like, a lot. The girl who said I reminded her of Rob Gordon is, if anything, as much to blame as John Cusack. I mean, he's wonderful in the film. He's perfect and charming, and he's got all these little tics and gestures and looks. Yes, you know, I was delighted with the comparison, but it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy to be compared to a man who sees himself as being doomed to rejection for eternity. I don't know exactly what I wanted at that time, because it's 20 years later. I don't know. But, you know, I was in American Psycho at the time as well, so this is probably the better option. It's probably no coincidence that the two girlfriends I did have over this period didn't attend the same school as me. In fact, it's probably likely they suffered worse fates because of it. Me stumbling through first dates and then having no idea how to proceed from there. Yeah, they had it bad. The first was a colleague from my supermarket job. The department I worked in was responsible for the music and video purchases and casing them up. So, much like Barry would, I could look down on all the people purchasing tacky, sentimental crap. But yeah, the chemistry we had together as friends was great. We could laugh and it was just great fun. And then we became a couple and it just died. Truly wilted when she had to carry me home from a party, blackout drunk, where I then duly vomited all over my bedroom, which I'm sure my mother has never forgiven me for. Sorry, Mum. The second was the dream girl, the fellow indie music fan. Me and, you know, a bunch of other love-hungry boys approached her and her group of girls after a Superfoot Animals concert. The fast food restaurant. And somehow numbers were exchanged. And yeah, it went from there. And I asked her out and we went out. And I was kind of obsessed with her. You know, I wore a loaned Mogwai hoodie that was too small for me everywhere. And I attributed her to songs that even when I listen to them now, she's the first person that comes into my head. You know, it's bizarre, and it's all that part of memory and music that glides together. And it was great. you know, for the 4 weeks it lasted. She liked me. She liked me, at least I think she did, for a brief window of time. Until one night she came to my house out in the suburbs and discovered a Blink-182 CD in my CD collection. Damn it, it's a great song. It's a great pop song. I will never stop saying that. But you know, I was not as cool as I appeared to be, and I wasn't even bothered enough to hide it. And it ran anathema to, you know, making out to Fugazi and at the drive-in, the other stuff that, you know, I did like and said I liked. It was just too much. My biggest regret in this arena came 20 years later, when we stood side by side at a pedestrian crossing, and you know, in summoning up that courage to say hello, the green man went and we crossed the road our separate ways. A real dick move. And I wonder, how did I have the courage at 17 that I didn't have at 35? Yeah, it's weird. And I know, she could have said hello too, but I don't know. Did I mean as much to her as she meant to me? I don't fucking know. I take a fair portion of the blame in both these instances, but I think it's made me hungrier for it. More of a pain in the fucking ass. I was a lovelorn, maudlin asshole. But you know, the tortured romance of Rob and all these hundreds of singers professing undying love and broken hearts was bound to do something unhealthy to a 17-year-old boy. Spare a thought though, for the girls. You know, imagine being asked out by a guy with, well, practically this haircut, who, instead of just wanting, you know, to have some fun and maybe get lucky, you know, wants to be cuddled, probably coddled, and told everything will be alright. You know, that's a horrific psychic burden to lay on a 17-year-old girl, when, you know, most of the 17-year-old girls were worried about their grades or worried about what they were going to be, what they were going to do with their lives, whereas, you know, I was just a dickhead who wanted to work in a record store. And that's a whole other fucking story for another time, of course. Now the girls were well aware of it, and it probably got to the point of being like picked off by a serial killer, and you know, to the point where I was rejected for having asked out so many other girls. Yeah. And every heart to heart would turn into I heart you, you know, misunderstanding meaning or placing meaning where there was none. It became a cycle of fucking falling in love or some shit, getting told to fuck off. When's it gonna stop? But yeah, I can only apologise for what I put all these girls through, when it was just me taking other people's poetry and my own, which I cannot look back on, and turning it into something, and just wanting something that wasn't really there. I know that now. Only people of a certain disposition think they'll be alone forever at the age of 17, and I was of that disposition. I can see now that I was in love with the idea of love, not any of these girls. I just wanted what I saw on the screen. And you know, I'm not afraid to admit that High Fidelity is my favourite film anymore. You know, it just is. I can finally see that now. I can finally see that I was just a kid and it didn't matter. And I feel fine.